Surfaces are used to describe how to interact with objects. I will just run the game to show an example. So right now, when we walk around, we hear a footstep sound. And here it is stone. When I walk upstairs, then you hear that this is a grass sound. I only have these two sounds, so nothing else that I can use here. Additionally, when I shoot, the projectile bounces and we get decals on the ground. Now when I shoot this surface, instead the projectile is absorbed and I get this fire particle effect. When I shoot this surface, then I get another particle effect. All of this needs to be set up somehow, and I really don't want to write code for that. Instead, I want to configure all of that in a data-driven way, and that's exactly what surfaces are for. So surfaces are a type of asset, and they are a little bit similar to materials in that they describe how something is configured and how it acts, whereas a material describes how it actually looks. So here we have the default material, and for example, it describes the physical properties, so restitution and friction. So if I lower them, then physical bodies would slide much more over these surfaces, so I can make it ice or something else slippery. And down here I have a list of interactions. And interactions are simply a name and then a prefab to spawn and also how to align it. So I can align it along the surface normal or some incoming direction, etc. So this is all that it is. It's just a lookup table for what to spawn when a certain action is triggered. And surfaces are hierarchical. So the default material, the default surface is the base one that everything falls back to. But for example, if I have the grass, then this one is actually derived from the ground surface, which in turn is derived from the default surface. And this way, if I have an interaction, for example, in the default surface here, I have the footstep, which uses the footstep stone prefab, but in grass I can override it with the footstep grass prefab, but otherwise it would inherit all of the data from the basic one. And how that is used is that, for example, the player prefab has a feature, the character controller has a feature that it, when it walks over a surface, it figures out which one is it, and then triggers an interaction. And here it just triggers the footstep interaction. And that's it. Whatever else is done is then described by the surfaces. So the grass surface will spawn a prefab that plays the grass footstep sound. The default one will spawn the stone sound, and if I had a water surface or so, then I could spawn a particle effect for splashes and so on. Similarly, the projectile that I'm firing this one is a bit more complicated. It actually has a filter by itself. So here I can specify that, for instance, if I hit a surface that is grass or anything derived from it, I will actually do the interaction fire and the projectile will be absorbed. Whereas if I hit something that is, for example, from the stone surface or derived, then I will again absorb, but use this interaction. And if none of these match, the default one is, so if I find something that falls back to the default surface, then again I will do this, and I will also reflect, which is why the projectile bounces when I shoot on the floor. And yeah, this is a very powerful and simple, easy to use feature to get gameplay functionality into a game.